Hello, hello, everybody. Happy Sunday. How's everybody doing?
Yeah,
How you
I'm
doing,
good.
Mo? You're doing good?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Good, good, good. Okay, so let me say hello to everybody. Hi, Tony. Hi, I've learned a lot. Hi, Sam. That's all I see. Huh. Okay. I said hi to everybody I see. I don't know if what the YouTubes is doing. Hey, Lucrative. I don't know what the YouTubes is doing. I don't know if they're giving out notifications. Hey Mia, I don't know what they're doing. I'm over it. I'm not sweating you, YouTube, so stop trying to make me. People will get notified when they get notified. I don't have any control over it, but YouTube's is not going to get me pressed or stressed because I have some good news. My chair that I ordered came in significantly early. It wasn't supposed to be here until sometime between the 28th of February and the 1st of February. And then, hey, Maria, how are you? I don't know. My chats are all messed up too. Okay. But also, hi, Amelia. Not only did I get my chair early tonight for dinner, guess what I had, you guys? Hi, Lisa Avery. That's right. I got KFC. I sure did, and it was very good, and I didn't even eat all of it. I forgot how big KFC's chicken tenders are. I could only eat two out of the four,
Wow.
but man, their biscuits are so good.
Ugh, I hate biscuits.
Okay, Mo, I don't know how. I think we need some time apart. I think you need to think about things. I don't
Hey,
like
Mia.
this.
I don't know if
Hey,
she got you.
I did. Hi, Mia.
Okay.
Hi, Shmina. I did not. I don't like biscuits and gravy. Okay.
Oh, see, that's the only way I'll eat a biscuit
No,
with
I
biscuit and
like.
gravy.
I'm okay. So like I grew up in the South because I grew up in Texas, but my parents are not from the South. So my mom knows how to make like biscuits and gravy and stuff like that, but um she would make it for my dad and my sister, but I don't eat stuff like that. Neither did my mom. We were very similar like that. So, yeah. Oh, okay. So I gotta here's the deal. I didn't know this, and maybe you guys probably don't know this either, but you only get a certain amount of emojis for your first like I don't know, think it's 10 or 15 members or something like that because I wanted to add two more emojis because my daughter put Alice and Mac in pearls and they're stinking cute. And I wanted
Aw.
to use those and I was going to upload them. And do you know what YouTube told me? You need 11 more members before you can have another emoji.
Well,
Well, I
that's
was like,
stupid.
okay. I know, Lisa. Okay. This is what's weird. I like gravy. I like biscuits, but I don't like biscuits and gravy together. I don't know why. It's just I don't put gravy on the biscuits.
Amelia.
What did Amelia say? Oh, they said it exactly like that. That's exactly the tone they used and everything, Tony. They said, you need 11 more members before you can have another emoji. Just exactly like that. So rude. So, so rude. But yeah. Um, oh, yes. We need a dulce. We do, we do, we do. We also need Chazzle Dazzle. We do need one of those. So, but I got to get 11 more members before. I don't know why YouTube be stingy like that. Like, look, how about you give me the emojis and take my community tab? Lord knows I don't use it. Like I'll trade. I'm willing to work with you here. So I'm excited because after the chair is all put together, it has like this removable lumbar massager. And while my husband and I are putting the chair together, Alice was sitting on that part. And so I undid the cord or whatever and plugged it in while she was sitting on it and turned the massager on. And at first she was like, what the fresh hell is this? And then she was like, oh, wait, hey, I kind of like this. Yeah, she liked it.
You might lose your chair.
I probably will. I lose everything else to her. She had her whole head in, you know how when you get stuff from KFC, how it comes in that little box or whatever? She had her whole head in the box.
Well, of course.
Well, I mean, listen, I always share. So there's no like reason to be rude about it and like extra. I mean, I appreciate Alice's extraness, but come on now, that's just rude.
Carly would have took the whole box.
Alice just puts her head in it. And then I wasn't peeling the fried part off of it fast enough for her. So she was swiping, like putting her hand, trying to get it out of my hand, like, just let me do it. Like, this isn't the part you like. I know what I'm doing. She's just rude. Just rude, y'all. This is how I live my life. So these are the reasons why. What happened here?
Hey, Lupe. Hey,
Hey, Lupe. I missed
Heather,
you.
whatever.
Hey, Heather, I missed you last night, Lupe. I was we're making a joke about something about the jail. I know, because I remember I wrote the word La Pinta, and I was thinking to myself, oh, I wish Lupe was here. She'd know exactly what I was talking about. Now, how did this happen? How I clicked the link that you sent me, Mo, and for some weird reason, here it is. There. I don't know what it did. It took me to all your videos, like on your channel, but obviously not the ones I need, because the one I need for tonight. Yeah.
I try not to publish it until after we go live.
Oh, that's so sweet of you.
Thank you, Lisa, for coming by.
Thank you.
Hey, where's Kenny?
Hey, where's Kenny? How you doing? Hey, if any of you guys see Molson Man, tell him I miss him. I haven't seen him in a while. I haven't seen him anywhere. Not anywhere on these YouTube streets.
Well, I haven't been around the YouTube streets, so I wouldn't know.
Oh, I've been flitting around here and there. Sometimes I stay, sometimes I comment, sometimes I don't. I don't know. I just but when I'm I just haven't seen Molson Man in a minute, and I miss his face.
Yeah, he was here 2 videos ago, because I remember
he was
him coming in.
He was, but I haven't seen him around.
Oh, didn't he say he was going on a trip with his wife?
Oh, that sounds reasonable. That sounds about right. Yeah, I'm sure. Maybe that's what he said. So maybe I have no reason to be looking for him, because he's not actually missing. Oh boy. Thanks for stopping by, Lisa Avery. I appreciate it. Hey, Allie79. Oh, what were you doing on that island, Allie? We've talked about this now.
Uh-oh.
We're not going back to that island.
I hope he didn't get lost there.
I hope he didn't get lost there on that island. I'm glad that Allie is back, though. I don't want nobody to be on that island. No, I'm just kidding. Can you imagine if I was like that, if I told y'all where to go and what to do and what man, I don't even want to tell myself where to go and what to do. I don't want to tell anybody else that either. All right, so tonight we're going to have the gentleman whose house Ezra ran to for help, and he's the one that called the 911s.
And he's adorable.
Yeah, I saw his little face before his name is Don Stipple. He just sounds cute. He's just that name. But then wait till you guys see him. Okay, super cute. And then we've got one of the detectives. So tonight's I
One of
have
the
to
11 billion hundred.
yeah, I got to give you guys a quickie tonight because I'm tired. I got up early and I had housework to do, Sunday stuff.
Wrestled a chair.
Oh, Momo is her name. Where's Kenny? Mo is up here. Mo, it's her name is Mo.
Does it not say my
It
name
does,
on the thing?
it does. I don't admit, I
Oh,
don't,
okay.
maybe it doesn't on YouTube. No, it does on YouTube. I don't know. Anyway, so I had to do housework. I did wrestle with this chair. This chair is huge. I when I found it, I was super excited because the price was very reasonable. It's like $115, you guys. That's it. All these other chairs were like crazy ridiculous, and they didn't even massage you. But the thing that made me laugh the most is because it's in the description, it said it had a wide seat. And it does have a wide seat. Like I can sit crisscross applesauce and I still don't take up the whole seat. But I like it. I like it. Lots of room.
Good. I hope it helps your back.
It does. And when he helped me bring it over here to the desk or whatever, and I moved the old chair out. And he's like, "Is that your chair?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "That's like a chair for a baby. You're sitting in that?" And I was like, "Babe, it's been in here for like 6 months. What are you talking about?" And he's like, "I never noticed before. It's little. But now I've got the El Presidente of chairs. I got the El Jefe of chairs. Hey, Nonstop Mom. I'm fancy AF. So watch out now. I got a desk, I got a laptop, I got a chair. I'm moving on up, y'all. Moving on up. All right, so let's get started. Let me share my screen. Because this is I kind of don't want to be more than 2 hours. So 10:30 at the latest. As y'all, I don't know. This is my normal Sunday stuff I have to do with chores wise, laundry, all that stuff you have to do. But for whatever reason, it took it out of me today. And my body says, "You need Mimi's lady." All right, here we go. Let me speed him up just a
Good
little
morning, Mr.
bit.
Sipple. Can you state and spell your name for the record?
Excuse me, Don Sipple, Donsipple.
Oh, look how cute he is.
And where do you live,
I
Mr.
know.
Sipple?
I just love him.
Live on a farm, E7614, 430th Avenue, Menominee, on a farm.
You want me
And
to
is
come
that
and live on
residence
your farm
located
with you?
in Springbrook Township,
That's correct.
and that's in Dunn County, Wisconsin?
Yes.
How long have you lived at that residence?
All my life. I've never moved.
You don't mind me asking, how long is that?
I shouldn't probably tell you, but it's 90 years.
Love his heart.
Remember on March 22nd of 2018, a young lady come into your house unexpectedly?
Yes, I do.
And is that same woman present in the courtroom today? Do you see her in here?
Yes, I can.
Can you describe what color shirt she's wearing?
At that time,
Oh, no, right now.
right now, it's a pink jacket and floral under shirt.
Of course, it's a pink jacket.
Identify the defendant.
That's all she
50
has.
days to wear your blazer.
Mr. Sipple, did you call someone after the defendant came to your house?
Okay,
Well, not right away.
play attention to Ezra's
I was
face.
just about to have my evening meal and we call it a den, an addition on our house. It was about 4:15, 4:20 in the afternoon. And I was just about ready to sit down and I saw this young lady go by the windows. And we have a deck on the south side. And she went up that deck. There's only about 4 steps and hit the doorbell about 7 times, I think 6, 7 times, like nobody's ever done before.
And after she came to your house, did you call the police?
Not right away. She,
Lucrative.
after I went to the door, which is another door from the main entry, and opened the door, and she looked at me and asked me to take her to the hospital.
And how did you respond?
It took me off guard. I didn't quite know what to do at that time. But a little bit later, she said she was attacked. And at that time, then I thought I kind of got my senses together, and I decided I'd call 911.
Okay.
But in the meantime, our dining area is just close to this room when I brought her in was utility room. And I went to the dining room and got a chair and brought her in and sat her on this chair. And then I decided to call 911.
And do you remember listening to the 911 call before coming into court today?
Did I what?
Did you listen to the 911 call before coming into court today?
Yes, I did.
May I approach?
You may.
I'm showing you Exhibit 163. Are those your initials?
Yes, they are.
Okay. And when you listened to that, was it an accurate copy of the phone call you made?
Going back, I did not listen to that. I read what we talked about a long time ago, and I did not listen to this.
Well, do you remember before we came into court, I played that for you?
Yes, you
Yep.
did.
And was it an accurate copy?
Very accurate.
Okay. I move Exhibit 163 into evidence.
Agreed.
Oh my
Now,
gosh.
Exhibit 164, the transcript.
Okay, first of all, Exhibit 163 will be received, and Exhibit 164, again, subject to, well, I'll receive that, but I'll note that there is an objection to it, and we'll elaborate at a later time.
I request to publish the 911 call for the jury.
You may.
15 seconds.
I'm County 911. What's the address of the emergency?
This is Don Sipple calling, and I have a young lady that just came to my house, and somebody attacked her, and she needs a doctor. Her clothes are all torn,
And what is the address you're located at?
What?
What is the address you are at?
East 7614, 430th Avenue.
Okay. And is she injured?
Yeah, she's injured. Her mouth is kind of got some blood around it, and her clothes are all torn.
Okay. And she's by herself?
She's by herself. She walked to my house here just recently.
Okay. And can you ask her what her name is?
Just hold on a second.
Okay.
What's your name, ma'am? What? You don't know? She's in kind of bad shape. She says she don't know.
Okay. Let me put you on hold. Do not hang up. I'm going to start some help, okay?
Sure.
16, 18, 20 seconds.
All right, Don, you still there?
Yes, I am.
Okay. What is your middle initial?
My middle initial?
Yep.
A.
Okay. And your date of birth?
11/29/28.
Okay.
And it's a young lady that's here that needs help.
Yep. Yep. I have an ambulance and some officers started that way. Did she say who did this to her?
Did she what?
Did she say who did this to her?
No, she said she was attacked, assaulted, and she's from Eau Claire.
Okay. And
Did tell me your name?
did she say where this happened?
No, I didn't discuss that.
Okay. Do you want to stay on the phone with me, Don, or?
Sure.
Okay.
So the ambulance is on the way?
Yep, ambulance and officers are on their way. I'll stay on the phone with you as long as I can.
Okay, I'll hang on.
Okay.
Wow.
He's so calm too.
25 seconds.
Such a lovely man.
For help.
So besides her bleeding from the mouth, do we know what other injuries she has? Does she look like she's injured anywhere else?
Yeah, she looks a little bit. There's some other bloody marks on her leg a little bit.
Okay.
And her pants are all torn.
Okay. And how old, if you had to guess, how old do you think she is?
How old are you, ma'am? 19.
19. Okay.
The ambulance is coming. You're going to get help.
And so she came on foot, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. She just walked to my door.
Okay. Can you ask her who did this to her? Or are you not?
Repeat that, please.
Can you ask her who did this to her?
Oh, just a second. Do you have any idea who did this to you? Just hold on. No, she can't. She's
pretty distraught.
Upset, and I can see why.
Okay. Don, do you have some type of blanket or something that you could get her to wrap her up?
Sure, I can.
Okay.
Just hold on. I'll lay the phone down here a second.
Okay.
YouTube deleted your joke, Lucrative? What? Let me look.
16,
'Cause I saw
21,
it.
11 seconds.
Huh. Well, that was rude of YouTube. You see how they've been playing with folks?
16, 21, 59 seconds. 16, 22, 35 seconds.
Yep.
She don't have any shoes on.
Okay.
Hands are all muddied.
Okay.
I think she
Or like
probably
the
walked quite a
Texas
ways. I don't
Chainsaw
know
Massacre?
Without shoes how far she came, but
Okay. And is she outside of your residence, or where is she?
no, she's in. I got her inside.
She's inside. Okay.
She's shivering and she's cold. So you had a good idea that I should have thought of getting the blanket around her to keep her warm, but I got her sitting on a chair.
Okay. Sounds good.
Aw.
I'll keep you on the phone here.
Sweet little old man.
This isn't Keith.
Nope, this isn't.
Or is he working there yet? Keith Sunday?
He was in the jail, I know, at one point.
Oh, he was in that end of it.
Yep.
Well, Don knows people in high places.
This is a strange situation, one I've never seen, and I've been around a long time.
Yeah. Well, good thing you called. It's glad she made it somewhere safe anyways.
Well, when I got her brought her into the house, she wanted me to drive her to the hospital, but I didn't think I should be doing that.
Yeah, no, that's perfectly fine. We'll get her the help she needs. We have an ambulance around also.
That's just what she needs.
Yep.
We'll get her taken care of.
Yep.
I suppose the ambulance probably takes 10, 15 minutes to get here.
Yeah, they're coming from Menominee,
It
unfortunately.
is,
so it'll be a few
Mia.
minutes,
It
but-
is.
I'm just
I don't know
about
anything
9
about this case
miles
either
from-
other than
which,
what we're watching.
Which station are they coming from?
From Menominee, they'll come from the downtown station.
Downtown. Yeah, it's about 10 miles from there.
Sure.
She's got glasses on. She said maybe I told her she's 19.
Okay, yep. And did you say the blood around her mouth looks like it was dry, or?
Yeah, it's a little on the dry side. Yeah.
Okay.
So it must have happened a while ago.
It would be
I think she
funny to
walked
see
quite a ways.
Samuel
Yeah.
Jackson as a
I don't know how
attorney.
she found it here, but that's okay.
say what one more time. I dare you. Say what again?
Don, do you have any family
They're
pets
here
or
right
anything?
now. They're here right now. It's the police officer.
Okay. All right, I'll let you go. You speak with him, Don. Thank you.
You bet.
Mr. Sipple, when you called and you were talking on the phone, was the defendant, was she in the same room as you, or did you go into a different room?
I was back and forth because my phone was in a different area. I was back and forth with calling the operator that I
Sure.
was talking to. It wasn't very far off. It was just a few steps, but it was just, I wasn't far away.
And
I
then when
hope
the
I'm
police
just with it
came,
at
you kind
90
of let them
years
take
old.
over.
Excuse me, there was one thing here about the family was here.
Yes,
The
Tony.
family wasn't there. We talked about the ambulance was coming. My family was not there.
Okay. So you were the only person in the house.
Yes, I was.
Okay. And at any time when you were with the defendant, did you observe her crying?
I never really saw any tears, but she was visibly shaken, because of what had taken place. She just, she was really upset because of
Sure.
what she'd gone through.
But you don't know what she went through. She didn't tell you what happened.
No idea.
Okay.
And I didn't question about that.
Sure.
But one thing she did after she said she was attacked, after I got her into the house, I looked out the window to see if
I
somebody
like
else
the
might be
accent, Allie. I like
following
that
her.
Midwestern
But there was
accent.
no idea.
Don't
Okay,
you
I have no
know?
further questions. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Mr. Nelson, any cross?
Yes, thanks. Mr. Sipple, how are you?
Well, I'm doing pretty good
You're a farmer, is that right?
Lucrative.
all my life.
And that's your, we've seen some pictures of your place. That's your farm place there?
Yes, it is.
And is that your daughter that lives next to you?
That's correct.
And your daughter that lives next to you, she was gone that day?
She was gone. She has her own little side business. She's semi-retired, but she didn't have to be home. So the driveway is right below mine. So I think she probably traveled that first and my daughter wasn't home and then came to my house.
So your two driveways connect, right?
Yep.
Is that right?
Is-
Your driveway and your daughter's driveway connect,
No,
correct?
well, eventually they do. It's kind of a half circle, but our houses are only a couple hundred feet apart.
And when you first saw Ms. McCandless, you saw her in the back portion of your house, correct?
Yep.
Is that right?
That's right.
She appeared to be coming. Did you see which direction she was coming? Whether she was coming from your daughter's house or up your driveway or from the field or?
Well, the driveways kind of connect somewhere along the line, and I don't know. I didn't see her until she was right by my house.
Okay. And I think you told the police before that you'd initially seen her running and then you saw her walking. Is that right?
Well, she was kind of a half run, half walk. She was going by my windows pretty quickly.
Looked like she was in a hurry.
Yes.
And eventually she got up to your door. Eventually you saw her get up to the door.
Yes, she did. There's about 4 steps up to the deck, and her deck isn't a real big one. So then she got to the doorbell, and that's what happened.
And you had made observations of her as she was moving quickly towards the door, correct?
Well, she was standing still. As I opened the door, and I was right there. And
So I want to ask you questions about what you saw, okay?
yeah,
She appeared disheveled,
correct.
a bit of a mess, yes?
Yes, she was.
She had blood on her face.
I didn't know if it was blood. It was a round circle around her mouth.
Okay.
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure it was, but I can't say for.
Did you see a cut on her lip?
No, I did not.
Okay. Did you see whether there was a mark on her neck?
No, I didn't notice that.
Okay. You saw her wearing a flannel shirt, I believe you said you saw?
I kind of believe it was a flannel type shirt.
It's
You
only
made
a
out a
little
written statement to the
noticeable, Alley
police about,
79.
or I shouldn't say this. You told Investigator Dickus
God.
what you saw and he wrote it down. Is that right?
That's correct.
And then you signed your name to that, correct?
Yes, I did.
And what he wrote down is your words, had a flannel shirt, I believe with some blue in it. Is that right?
That's correct.
Want to show you a picture.
That's what she's on trial for, Mia. She's accused
Can I
of
just put it on
killing
that animal,
Alex
Judge?
Okay, what is it?
Woodworth, but her
632.
Is that already
defense
received?
is
Yes.
that.
Okay.
Showing you a
Hold
picture
on.
on the screen
Let me
there
push
of
mute.
Exhibit
Or let me
632.
pause
Do you
it.
see that?
So Mia, she's charged with the murder of Alex Woodworth, and her defense is that it was self-defense, that he attacked her, he SA'd her, hey, faraway eyes, and it was self-defense with the knife. I'm serious, you guys. He is sharp for his age. And I hope when I'm 90, I'm that sharp. But I have a feeling I'm going to be answering people in song lyrics.
That shirt?
Yes, I do.
Does that look like the shirt she was wearing that day, a blue flannel?
You know, that's been a year and a half ago, and I kind of think it is, but I can't say for certain. Things happen pretty fast, sir.
I understand. It was a bit of an emergency. Would you agree? Did you hear that, sir? I said it was happening fast. It was a bit of an emergency. Would you agree?
Yes,
I knew one of you guys
Right.
wasn't going to be able to let that name go. I tried.
You said you saw her pants were cut up. Is that right?
they were torn.
And you don't know how they got to be
No
torn.
idea. I didn't question her.
And that there was some blood on the pants, it appeared.
A little bit.
And then there was covered in mud. Is that right?
Yeah, she did not have shoes on and with mud all up to her knees.
So from her knees down was covered in mud,
Yes,
and then stocking feet,
stocking feet.
shivering.
You're welcome,
She was
Mia.
shivering. It was
Anytime,
22nd of
babe.
March. It wasn't hot, but it wasn't terrible cold right then.
But she was shivering, right? Yes?
She was.
I think you had said before too that she appeared to be in distress. Was that the word you used?
I believe so.
And that she was very upset?
Yes, she was.
And I think what you had said is she was visibly shaking, that right?
Yes, she was.
She was really upset because of what she went through, is that right?
That's correct.
And when you saw her visibly upset, you invited her into your home?
Yes.
You went into the other room and you got a chair?
Yes, I into the dining room and got a chair and put her in a chair. And I didn't think quick enough, but after I called the operator at the, what's the name of the place?
911?
Yeah, he recommended that I get her a blanket cover.
So you got her a chair and she sat down,
Yep, sat down and
told you she was attacked,
yes,
and then she'd asked to go to the hospital.
yes,
But after you heard attacked, you thought the better course was to get her help from the police or an ambulance, right?
that's correct.
You'd rather have somebody else come and pick her up and deal with her there than you're getting her in a car and you're driving her someplace.
I didn't have any idea of taking her myself.
Sure. The best course for you to get her help was to call 911. Would you agree?
They were there in like 10, 12 minutes, they were there.
And you wanted them there quickly because you knew she needed help, right?
Exactly.
And you got her the help that she needed. Is that right?
Well, I hope I did.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any redirect?
Well, at the time, the only information that you had about what happened was what the defendant told you.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any recross based on that?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sipple. You can step down. I believe Mr. Sipple, he'll be then released from his subpoena.
Yes.
Sure.
Your name for the record?
Emmer Shields III, EMMER, last is SHIELDS.
What is your occupation?
Patrol deputy with the Dunn County Sheriff's Office.
And how long have you been in law enforcement?
Hold on, let me push
I'm
pause.
just shy of 12 years.
What, Mo?
I
Hi,
said, hi,
Amy.
Amy.
How you doing, babe?
I wanted to say it was a good thing she didn't stumble up to the roommate's house
Lord.
and needed help. He would just look at her and walk away.
Well, look, I think the reason he did that is because I thought about it last night after we ended and the way he described it. And I think there is the outer door, and then there's like, I only know to call him like a mud room. It's, that little room, and then there's the actual front door.
Yeah.
And she was sitting in that little room on the couch on the porch. And I think what he assumed was that she was waiting for somebody and somebody knew she was there. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
That's what I think happened. But I mean, because like it'd be different. I mean, it'd be kind of weird here, but I mean, if I walked out front of my house and I have a porch, I don't have a couch on it. But if I did, or if I had anything to sit on the porch and I just found some stranger sitting on my porch, yeah, I would be taken aback because, you don't typically just go sit on random people's furniture on their porch, especially not their, porch couch. That's just rude,
Well,
Aw,
she's lucky that
Amy.
she stumbled up to Don Sipple's house because
Yeah.
he's a sweetheart.
Yes, he is. And the thing is that he took her at her word and didn't really press her or ask her any questions and just was worried about comforting her and not a whole lot of paying attention. You know what I'm saying? Somebody else
Yeah.
might have been a little bit more critical, the daughter perhaps, but he was just, he felt bad about not getting her a blanket.
I know, love his heart.
Love his little heart. Well, Amy, if you want to drive the 8 hours, babe, you can bring her right on here and I'll babysit her. I love a little baby. I haven't had a little one in a long time. I'm pretty sure I can remember how to do it. All my other kids, I mean, I raised 4 of them and they're all alive, so, and mainly okay. No, just kidding. They're all good kids. I still know how to take care of a baby. That's not one of those things you forget. Is this officer that they mentioned? I'm not going to say his name because I'm not going to make it through it. I already know.
No, I don't think he doesn't come up. I would remember that name.
Because
I
there's
don't
no,
know why they didn't
okay,
call
thank
him.
goodness, because there's no way.
I don't really like this dude. But
You don't. He's not making a very good face right now, is he?
no.
His
Emmer.
Lord. All right. Well, let's
Why would
hear.
you name your kid Emmer?
I think it may be because it's a family name.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know.
I shouldn't make fun of names. Maybe somebody has a kid named Emmer in here.
Well, I mean,
Sorry.
it's not. It's an interest. It's not a common name. It's not a name you hear all the time. But I bet it's like a family name.
Maybe that's why he's so mad.
Well, he doesn't look like he's beat for any bullshit. That's for sure. All right, here we go. I mean, look at that face he's making.
Well, I don't like him.
You don't like him, huh? Okay.
No.
All right.
Has all of that time been with Dunn County?
No, I worked part-time at several other agencies. I'm going on my
Me too,
7-year
Heather.
anniversary with the county.
Me too.
And what are your primary duties as a patrol officer?
Just patrol responding to complaints, initiating traffic stops, conducting investigations, dealing with public issues and complaints.
On March
Shmita, I gotta go
22nd of
switch out the
2018,
laundry.
were
Are
you
you around
dispatched
to
to a
watch the
residence on
class? Hey, Jeanette.
430th Avenue?
Yes.
Is that residence located in the Springbrook Township
I believe it is. Yes.
in Dunn County, Wisconsin?
Yes, ma'am.
What, if any, information did you receive while you were en route?
I was advised by our dispatch that the gentleman that owned the residence had a young female that had shown up at his residence and was in some form of distress, was covered in mud, and I believe also blood was what came out to our dispatch.
Oh, you're so sweet, Amy. But seriously, if you
Our
ever need
dispatch
a
advised that she
babysitter,
had mud and had blood on her person.
call me.
And do you recall what time you arrived at the residence?
Approximately
I'll be right back,
maybe
Shamina.
5
Watch
to
the
7
class.
minutes after the initial call.
Are you familiar with the Cad Report?
Yes.
What is that?
The Cad Report is our electronic system that is generated by dispatch. It contains information, the complainant's information, a log of when units would have been dispatched or when they would have arrived, and so on and so forth.
And if you reviewed the Cad Report, would you be able to tell me what time you arrived at that residence?
I believe so, yes.
May I approach, Your Honor?
May-
Showing you what's been marked as Exhibit 165. Is that an accurate copy of the CAD report for this case?
It appears to be, yes. Appears to be 1625 hours. 1625, which is approximately 10 minutes after the initial call.
Okay, so 4:25 you arrived,
It appears so, yes.
and the call was at 4:15?
Yes.
Move Exhibit 165 into evidence.
Any objection?
Yes, can we take that later?
All right, we'll just hold off on that.
And what's your badge number?
217.
So what, if anything, did you do when you arrived at the residence?
Parked my squad in the driveway. I exited my squad and made contact with, I believe, is the rear of the residence, and made contact with Trooper Knudsen, who was already on scene.
And did you enter the residence?
Yes.
What did you observe when you entered the residence?
When I entered the residence, we were in kind of a small confined area, maybe like a mudroom, I guess somebody would describe it as, perhaps. And there was a female sitting on a chair in a distress, and Trooper Knudsen was standing on her left side, and the complainant, Mr. Sipple, I believe, was standing to the rear of them.
And is that same female present in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Could you describe what she's wearing and where she's seated?
She's wearing glasses, a pink coat, and seated next to her counsel, Mr. Nelson.
The record will reflect that the witness has identified Ms. McCandless.
And did you ask anything to the defendant when you arrived?
I asked her numerous things, yes.
What did you ask?
I asked how she had gotten there, what had happened.
Do you
what her name
remember?
was.
Sorry, excuse me. Do you remember asking if she had a phone?
Yes.
And what did she do?
She produced a gold cased iPod.
Ms. Nodoff, is your microphone on?
Yes.
Okay, good.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Okay.
I'm showing you an envelope. It's got officer number 217 on it. Do you recall packaging that item? Or do you recall that item, I guess?
I recall the item. It looks like it was packaged most likely by Sergeant Day.
And if you could put some gloves on and open that. I'm sorry, 243, Your Honor. Sorry, it's been marked. I think it needs to get marked as 243.
Exhibit 243.
Alley 79. That's funny.
Is that the same iPod that you took from the defendant?
It appears to be have a broken face, consistent with the one that I recovered.
Then move exhibit 243 in evidence.
Any objection?
Maybe, but super technical, we can take it up later.
All right, well, with cold ruling at this time.
Did the defendant provide you anything else?
She had given several items to Deputy Knudsen, which was a pair of glasses and then I believe a thing of chapstick as well.
May I approach, Your Honor?
You may.
I'm showing you what's now been marked as exhibit number 244 and exhibit number 243 on the back of this. Can you open up that package?
Yeah, she didn't have a phone. She only had an iPod.
And do you recognize those?
They appear to be the glasses that was recovered from Ms. McCandless.
And are those in the condition you recall them being in?
It appears to be. I couldn't say for sure, but it appears to be, yes.
Okay. Move exhibit 244 in evidence.
No objection.
244, exhibit 244 will be received.
Deputy, when you look at those glasses, do you observe any materials on the front of the glasses?
It appears to be some dried blood or biological fluids, yes.
And if you set them on the table, if you could just lay them out maybe on a flat surface. Do they appear to still be in their same, they're not broken in any way?
No.
The lens is broken?
No.
And then can you describe the defendant's appearance that day?
Generally, I would use the word disheveled. Her legs were very dirty. Her
The
hair
guy laughing too
was
loud. He looks like
a mess.
he needs glasses.
She
He
had
keeps squinting.
mud on her person and blood over certain portions of her body.
Was the mud that was on her clothes, was it wet or dry?
Depending on the thickness of it, some appeared to be a little bit more dry than others, which would be consistent with somebody walking through a barnyard or something where the thicker mud would be a little bit more wet, would not be completely dry, whereas like a smudge or something like that appeared to be slightly dry.
Where did you observe the mud?
Mostly on her legs, and it appeared to be that there was some on her hands and maybe small spots on her shirt.
Did you notice any injuries?
It appeared that she had some injuries to her left arm, and I also noticed a cut on her upper right thigh that was visible through a tear or cut in her pants.
Do you recall what kind of pants she was wearing?
No, I want to say jeans, but I don't recall exactly.
Okay. And so when you notice these, I think, cuts on the left arm and upper right thigh, could you determine if the blood was still wet or dry?
Again, it depended on where there was a smudge. It appeared to be a little bit more dry, but it did appear, what I saw, that there was portions that appeared to be not dry.
So could you see if they were still bleeding or oozing?
The left side where Trooper Knudsen was not, I didn't see much of that side, but at one portion I kind of kneeled down next to her where her, on her right side where the cut in her leg was. And I just remember seeing several portions of the cut where it was slightly oozing, I guess you could say. Like if you cut yourself and then you squeeze your arm, it would kind of maybe ooze out in several spots, but not over the whole cut.
Oh, gross. Ooze.
So let's start from the neck up. Did you observe any injuries from the neck up?
I did not see any.
What about from the neck down to the waist?
Over her torso, I did not see any.
And waist down to the feet?
Would be the cuts to her right thigh that I saw.
Did you ask the defendant what the last thing was that she remembered?
Yes, and she made reference to, I believe she made reference to getting them off of me or getting them off of me. I asked her to kind of clarify that statement, and she she really couldn't.
So at this point, did you know if there was one person or two or more than one, I guess?
Because she used the word them, I actually notified the other units that were responding to possibly be on the lookout for more than one individual.
Did you ask her name?
I did.
How did she respond?
Initially, she said I think she made the statement, I'm trying to figure that out, something like that.
And then did she eventually provide a name?
Yes, when she was speaking with Trooper Knudsen and I believe members of fire rescue that had showed up, she said the name Monica. I overheard that and then asked them about that. And they stated that she referred to herself as Monica.
And then did you later state Monica Carlin?
Correct.
And so what did you do, if anything, after you received a name?
I contacted our dispatch and to see if that name was in what we call our in-house records, would be anybody that we've had contact with in our department. And they advised that nobody matching that name had been contacted by our department.
And did she, fair to say she had a difficult time answering your questions?
Yes.
That's true. Non-stop mom.
When
That's
asked
a
if there
good
was someone that they could
observation.
call, was she able to provide a name?
She did provide a name, Jason, what I heard was Ingle with an E. That was later changed to, I believe, Mingle with an M.
So did the ambulance or paramedics arrive at some point?
They did.
Approximately how much time were you with the defendant before the ambulance arrived?
Anything that I say would be a guess. I want to say between 5 and 10 minutes.
Okay. And did you then follow the ambulance to Eau Claire?
I did.
Do you recall, was she still wearing the same clothes that you saw? The ambulance didn't have her change clothes or anything?
No, and when she was brought into the hospital, she was wearing the same clothing that she wore at the residence.
What happened when you went to, was it Mayo Hospital in Eau Claire?
It was correct.
What happened when you were there?
She actually, when we got there, I think she might have advised the ambulance staff that her name was Miss McCandless, Ezra McCandless. The staff was able to find her in their records, and that's how she was identified.
Did she also provide you with the correct spelling for Jason Mingle?
Yes.
And when the defendant was at Mayo, were you able to observe any injuries more closely?
Yes.
Because when she was at Mr. Sipple's house, was there anything covering her body?
Yes, she had a blanket. She was kind of had a blanket, I would say, draped over her shoulders, and that was provided by Mr. Sipple.
And you were able to observe some injuries closer?
Yes.
What injuries did you observe?
When they began to just examine her and clean her arms, it appeared that there was cuts to her left arm, and it actually appeared that there was a word cut in her skin.
What was that word?
Boy.
B-O-Y?
Correct.
Were you able to observe her pants more clearly at the
Yes.
hospital? And how would you describe any defects in her clothing?
I guess what drew my attention to the pants is it wasn't a tear. It appeared to be a very clean and precise. I don't want to use the word precise. A very clean cut, no jagged edges from what I could see, as if a sharp object had been used to cut it and not being torn on a fence post or something like that.
And how was the defendant's demeanor when you were with her?
She was still appeared to be very distraught, upset.
Did you observe any tears when she was with you?
I did not.
Was she later evaluated by Mayo medical staff?
Yes,
And what did you do during that time?
a lot. I was able to track down Mr. I'm going to mispronounce it. I believe it's Mingle, her stepfather. I spoke to her stepfather and spoke to members of Eau Claire Police Department who had been involved with in an incident with her earlier in the day, and spoke to Officer Reeves about that contact and some other information involving Miss McCandless.
And when she was at the hospital, did you ask her if she would be willing to have a sexual assault exam done or a SANE exam?
Yes.
And how did she respond?
She responded that she would do that, yes.
So what, if anything, were you in the room, I guess, when she was having this exam?
I was not.
Did you ask the medical staff to do anything with her clothes?
Yes, due to the statements about her being assaulted, I requested the staff separate all of her items of clothing, placing them in separate paper bags for evidentiary purposes, and then to staple those shut. They were placed in a closet that was locked by one of the hospital staff.
Jen has the picture of the boy carved into her arm.
And so did you speak
She
with
can
her
show you.
again before the SANE exam or after?
I spoke to her before. I did not speak to her after. When the SANE nurse arrived, due to the procedures and how long it was, it's a very thorough examination. And she stated that we wouldn't be able to speak with Ms. McCandless for, I want to say, at least an hour. I want to say approximately 2.
Heather, I think they said Mayo because she was at the
And
Mayo
so
clinic.
I guess going back to
and it
the
sounded
clothes,
like
did you
Mayo.
observe the staff collect the clothes?
Yes.
Okay, I think this is a good spot to stop. I'm advised lunch is here. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to recess for the lunch hour. It might be a little longer than an hour because we do have some other issues to take up. So, okay, all rise and drink. Excuse for lunch. Okay, please be seated and
We'll wait till the door
closes. And Deputy Shields, you can step down. I don't know what you want to do with it.
There it is.
Mo, is the rest of this outside of the jury, or
Okay.
I'll go through it. No, don't worry, it's okay.
Yeah, he comes back at 38 minutes, I think it is.
All right, hold on.
Oops.
Are you just chunking things around? What are you doing in there?
It was my fireplace door. I hit
Oh.
it with my notebook.
Just so you know, I turned the massager thingy on, and oh my gosh, y'all, you about to see a whole new Jen Lou. I'm still gonna be spicy, but I'm gonna be spicy and not have a sore back. Okay, so there is what was she scratched into her, or what was cut into her arm. Okay, all right, let's keep
I
it.
wish Sipple would have had security cameras.
Yeah, that would have been good.
Can you imagine his poor daughter if
Slow.
she'd have come home and seen all that? She'd have been scared to death.
Probably, yeah. I mean, I'd be, yeah. I mean, it doesn't, that kind of stuff doesn't happen very often. It would freak anybody out, you know? I feel
Oh,
like
wait,
I'm,
this is 36. Hold on. Let me look.
no, I know, but Mo, I can scroll and look through the picture, through the, see how it
Oh, yeah.
moves? Yeah, see, I can see when he comes back. You don't have to, we're good, babe.
You should see my note. I got 3 pages of notes on this chart.
Oh, wow. Look at you. All right, here we go.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Deputy, I believe before we broke for lunch, we were talking about how you spoke with a defendant prior to her sexual assault exam. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And so had the defendant changed clothes at this time?
Yes, she was currently in an ER gown or attire provided by the hospital.
And when she was in this gown, were you able to see her arms and legs more?
Hold on, because Heather asked a really good question, and I want to answer it because it's actually a really good question. It's an important question too. Hold on a second. My chat's doing weird things.
She used a knife, Amelia.
She used the murder weapon, to be more specific. But okay, I wanted to answer this because the truth is, Heather, whatever, no, they don't. They rely on donations that the hospitals do for situations like this. That because if they don't keep them, it's not like part of their budget or whatever. So the hospital doesn't have the finances to provide a change of clothes when they come in after an assault like that. And so they rely on donations. So if you, I didn't know that either.
That is
And
sad.
it's very sad. And so if you guys are ever thinking or, you're wanting to donate, I would encourage everybody to, in addition to whatever you guys donate to now, but, take clothes and packages of underwear because they don't have those at the hospitals for women or children or anybody that goes through an assault like this. They don't have clothes for them to wear home. So,
I think she stayed at the hospital for quite a while, so
well, yeah, maybe she
I
did,
mean,
but
that's regardless of
Yeah.
what you're talking about. But
Yeah.
maybe her mom showed up or something. But
there
that's
are,
so sad.
yeah, they don't have clothes for them to wear home. I mean, most situations of this, that they do keep the patient sometimes for 24 hours observation, but there are certain situations, I'm sure you guys can think of those, where they don't have family.
Right.
And so there isn't anybody to come and pick them up from the hospital, and there isn't anybody for them to bring them clothing. So, just, and then like if you have other stuff, like, do you know who can use your old towels and your old sheets and your old bedding? Is
The
animal
animals.
shelters, so there's lots of ways to give. All right, here we go. And that's my little PSA for the night. Maybe I'll do one every night. Some kind of the more you know. Remember that from NBC? All right, here we go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you observe any bruising or redness to the arms or legs?
I did not.
Did you notice any bruising to the neck
I did not see any, no.
or redness to the neck?
Not that I could see.
And was another officer with you at this point?
Officer Reeves arrived at one point, yes.
And is he an officer from the Eau Claire Police Department?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Is that Corey Reeves?
Yes.
And I guess when you're in the hospital, does your video or audio recording devices that are equipped to your squad, do they work?
No.
Can you explain why they don't?
Technically, no, I cannot with all the electronics, but basically if you get too far from your vehicle, whether you're just outside or whether you are in a room, in a residence, oftentimes it will not pick up. And we were a fair distance away from my squad at that time through concrete and steel walls, which it makes the recording device or the audio device pretty much unusable.
So this conversation that you and Officer Reeves had with the defendant was not recorded?
If Officer Reeves did not have a recording device, mine was not functioning, so my answer would be no.
Okay. And what, if anything, did the defendant say to you during this conversation?
Several things. We were still trying to ascertain where this took place. She had previously mentioned a park by a frog, I believe, which I'm not familiar with the Eau Claire area. Some of the staff advised that it might be Owen Park. And myself and Officer Reeves started to talk to her about anything that might have occurred at Owen Park in the city of Eau Claire.
So do you recall what was asked? What led the defendant to say something took place at Owen Park or a park by a frog?
I just continued to ask her where these events took place. Where did this happen? Where did you get assaulted?
And did you ask if there were any weapons?
Yes.
And how did she respond?
Initially, she responded no.
And did she change her response later?
She later advised that there was a knife that was involved. Yes.
Did she say what happened to the knife?
I don't recall asking her that. I recall her stating where she got the knife from, but not where it went.
Where did she state where the knife was from?
She advised that the knife had come from, I believe, her father or her stepfather. She referred to as both. And she advised that he had given her the knife in case she'd gotten into trouble or something like that.
So did you ask her what happened after there was a knife?
When I asked her about what happened, she didn't answer. She just said everything went black, something to that extent.
Maybe everything went dark?
Dark or black, that would be, yes.
Were you able to observe the boy on her left forearm better when she was in this hospital gown?
Yes.
Did you ask her how she got that carved into her arm?
She advised that the assailant had carved that into her arm.
And did she say who the assailant was?
Mr. Woodruff,
Or Alex Woodworth?
that's correct.
And did she provide any other detail as to how Alex put that boy into her arm?
How or
Yes.
what? She just said that he cut him. Or did she cut it? He cut it into her arm.
And how would you describe the defendant's demeanor when she was disclosing these things to you?
At that time, when Officer Reeves and I went back into the room, she had changed from being very upset to almost very tired. But then as we began to speak to her about the location of the incident, the details, anything like that, she appeared to be getting upset again.
And what would happen? What did you observe when she became upset?
It's almost hard to explain. She would just begin to, I don't want to say howl, but cry out. At times she would cover her head with a blanket. Something similar to that.
And was she crying?
At points it appears that she was kind of crying, yes.
And did you observe tears at all?
I did not.
I have no further questions.
Okay, cross-examination, Mr. Nelson.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Shields, I just want to ask you questions to begin with about your initial arrival, okay?
Yes, sir.
You had a report from dispatch that said there was a female in distress. Is that right?
Yeah, who
Yes.
said the
Then
C
you got
word?
to Farmer Sipple's place. Is that right?
That's correct, sir.
And when you got there, Wisconsin State Patrol
Maybe nobody, and it just said
Knutson.
general, you know.
Knutson, thank you. Mr. Knutson
Oh,
was already there, correct?
That is correct.
And Mr. Sipple was obviously already there.
Yes, sir.
And so when you entered the room, you were the fourth person in the room with Ezra, Trooper Knutson, and Farmer Sipple.
Yes.
And when you got there, you observed Ezra in a chair in distress.
Yes, sir.
She was had a blanket on,
Correct.
and the blanket, as you said, was up over her shoulders.
Yes, sir.
And then under that, she was clothed, right?
That's correct.
She had on a flannel blue plaid button-up shirt.
I believe so. The exact colors, some people could describe it maybe as gray, maybe it was blue. But yeah, it was a flannel, what I would describe as a flannel shirt, I believe, yes.
Unbuttoned.
If it was completely unbuttoned, maybe one button was done, but if it was unbuttoned, that's possible, yes.
Okay. And then did you see what layers she was wearing underneath that, or were you not paying attention to the layers underneath that?
was
No,
just a
but, hold
t-shirt.
on a sec. Let
It was
me
just a
push
t-shirt.
pause.
So what
Okay.
you remember seeing is that she had
No, sweetheart. Amelia. He said, cut. Cut, babe, cut. C-U-T. No N.
Good, because I thought maybe she thought I said it, and I was like, I know I don't enunciate very well, but I couldn't think of anything I thought I said that sounded like it.
He said cut. And it's just the
Okay,
way he's got that. He does have a thicker Midwestern accent. And so it's cut.
What's the other C word, Allie? Oh, good. I thought I'd hurt Amelia's feelings, and I was over here feeling all bad.
But listen, see how easy that was resolved? No biggie. Easy peasy, a lemon squeezy. And
I was like, Amelia said that out of the blue, and you're like, maybe she just is saying that. And I was like, what a weird thing to say.
he does, Heather, whatever. He does. Yeah, he does.
Oh,
look
okay,
at,
Allie.
okay. Now are we all on the same page?
Yeah, because I was like, What's the other C word?
I know, because I was going to go back to playing the testimony and be in the back of my brain being like running through all the C words.
I was gonna tell Allie to message
Oh
me
my
the other
God.
C word
All
because I needed to know it.
Oh my gosh. I hope that the big time law firm doesn't listen to this stream before offering us a lucrative career as juror consultants.
Imagine if
Get
Amelia
a t-shirt
was
and a
the
flannel.
lawyer. What did you just say?
Oh my gosh.
Correct?
Yes.
All right. You don't remember any other articles of clothing in between the t-shirt and the flannel?
Hey,
Besides her
Gwen.
pants, no, sir.
Hey,
Okay.
Gwen T,
Yeah, I'm
how
just
you
talking
doing,
up
babe?
above.
Yes,
Good to
sir.
see ya.
And when you saw her, was she wearing her glasses or not wearing her glasses?
I don't believe she was wearing her glasses.
Okay, so the glasses were given to you by Ms. McCandless or by Trooper Knutson or by Mr. Sippel?
Trooper Knutson, I believe.
Okay, so at some point, Trooper Knutson, before you arrived, had collected those glasses.
The exact time frame that he took them, you'd have to ask him, sir, but he had them on his person when he handed them over to me.
Okay, Trooper
And so you
Knutson
didn't see him
sounds like
collect
a
them,
game,
correct?
I don't believe I did, no.
like a
Which would lead
character
us to
from a
believe you did it
game,
before you got there, right?
like
I
Crash
had to step outside
Bandicoot.
several times to use my radio or to use my
Sidekick.
phone, so
Yeah, it does.
Fair enough.
it's possible, yes, sir.
All right. You don't remember her wearing them. You just remember Trooper Knutson giving them to you, right?
That's correct.
And you talked about the glasses, which were marked as Exhibit 244. Is that right? We saw them up there, correct?
Yes, sir.
They weren't displayed to the jury close up to them, were they, correct?
No, they're right here.
Just right here, okay. And if we need to pull them out, that's fine, but I had a chance to look at them, so I want to ask you some questions about that, okay?
Yes, sir.
It appears as if on the lenses, there's light smudges of mud. Would that be fair?
I'm sure there probably is, yes, sir.
Okay. And then you had said that you'd seen what you thought was dried blood, is that right?
Correct.
And that would be on the upper portion of the frame on the left side, is that right?
I think there was probably more than one spot, but I believe that was a spot where it was found, yes.
Okay. And fair to say, as far as you know, those glasses were never sent anywhere to be tested to see if what you thought was dried blood was in fact dried blood. Agreed?
I'm not sure where it was. I handed it over once the investigation began, and where it went and where it's gone, I'm not aware.
Okay. But you did your part. You documented what you observed in a report and said you thought you saw dried blood on there, correct?
That's correct, sir.
And whether somebody else later on actually tested to see if your observations were correct or not, you don't know.
That's correct.
She appeared disheveled.
That would be a word that I would use, yes, sir.
Her hair was a mess.
Yes,
She had blood on her face.
yes.
Her lip was cut.
I guess I'm not sure if it was cut or not.
She had blood on her lip,
There is blood around her mouth in a couple of spots, yes.
on her lip.
That would be accurate, yes, sir.
And then there was mud on her person, as you said,
Yes,
and then blood on certain other portions you observed, right?
yes, sir.
Including on her right leg, which appeared to be
Because they're not a crime
Actively
scene tech,
bleeding.
babe. That's why, Allie.
not pouring out blood, but it was,
What I would say was oozing
okay.
slightly.
They
yes,
are
it looked
not
fresh.
in charge of the evidence.
I believe so, yes.
You asked her questions, right?
Yes, sir.
And she had a
No, you're
difficult time
right. It
answering
was,
questions.
they did say that, but
Yes, sir.
And when you were
only
doing this
crime scene
at the scene, you had parked
investigators
nearby, correct?
Correct.
are held
And
to a
your,
different standard.
Squad car has a recording device, is that right?
That's correct.
Commonly thought of as a squad cam.
Yes, sir.
And it records both visually as well as audibly, correct?
When the audio works, yes.
Because it
on
means
that
something
day,
a
the audio
little
was working.
different when crime scene tech says blood
did not-
versus like
I
an
believe
officer
when I first got there,
or, you
my
know, a
mic was not
witness.
on. And then I want to say maybe a couple minutes after I arrived, I observed that it wasn't on and then activated it.
Okay, but the times that you pressed on, it worked.
That's correct.
And there was a actual DVD recording of that, correct?
If it was burned, it's usually kept in a server, so it would be on a server and most likely on a physical DVD as well.
Have you had the opportunity in the past 19 months to go back and listen and or watch that recording?
Yes,
Did you do that?
yes,
So if there was a recording that you can hear bits and pieces of that conversation and the work that you were doing there at Mr. Sippel's house, right?
yes, sir.
And during the time when you first arrived, Mr. Sippel's also speaking, correct?
At times, yes, sir.
And one of the things he had said was, it's the strangest thing he's ever seen in his 89 years. Is that right?
Something to that effect, yes, sir.
Okay. Sorry, Kenny. So let me answer this better. So, and then this. So, when a crime scene investigator is out at the scene and they are collecting the evidence and they're testifying to their arrival at the scene and what they saw, right? And what they collected, at that time, they will refer to potential blood stains as like, a reddish brown stain. Okay. Because there's a different connotation for the jury and even for a judge, even if this wasn't a jury trial, even if this was just a trial by the judge, right? Or the judge was just hearing the trial. If there's a different connotation when a crime scene text says blood versus a cop or a doctor or a witness, because at the end of it, right, the crime scene tech, they're going to collect the evidence and then they're going to take it back to the lab and then they're going to test it and they will be able to say definitively if it's blood or not. And then in most cases, then they will also be able to say definitively, not only was it blood, but it contained DNA from this person or that person, or it was a mixture of two people, kind of like with the Haldersons, how there was, some spots of blood were, and they referred to it as a brownish red stain too, when they were testifying before they were ready to testify about all the results. Sorry,
Right.
Kenny, I should have sometimes I remember to push pause and then sometimes I forget. And after we ended last night, Mo said, babe, you got to remember to push pause. And I said, I will remember to push pause. And then what happened? I did not remember to push pause.
But
So here-
typically, most officers do say it appeared to be blood.
Yes, they do. That is true. That is true.
And as you said, you were asking for her name and she said, I can't figure it out, right?
Yes, sir.
And then at some point, the ambulance arrived, or a ambulance arrived, correct?
Yes, sir.
And medics from the ambulance arrived?
Correct.
And one of those medics is a man named Joe Wayne, is that right?
I believe so. I don't know all the medics by name.
Sure. The gentleman that you saw as you were walking into the courtroom about 20 minutes ago?
Yes, I believe he was there. Yes.
Yes. And he was one of the people that treated, or at least had contact with Ms. McCandless there at Mr. Sippel's place, right?
Yes, sir.
And was he the one that asked her what her name was when she then said the word Monica?
You would have to ask him. I'm not sure if it was him or another member of his bus.
But what you know is a medic, or what we'll call somebody acting in the role of as a medic, asked him her name and she responded Monica.
Yes,
right?
that's correct.
And that was shortly after you had asked her and she said, I can't figure it out.
I believe so. Yes.
And then, kind of fast forwarding just on this name theme,
Yes, sir.
she then goes with the medics in the ambulance, correct?
Correct.
She's being taken to the hospital with the medics, is that right?
That's correct.
And then when you meet them at the hospital, you learn that during that hospital ride, she told them she'd figured out her name and it's Ezra McCandless, is that right?
The exact details of how we came by her name, with either she said it or she told it to the ambulance crew, that I'm not very clear on. She was positively identified as Miss McCandless, either by her, she told him her name, I guess. Who it was, I don't know.
Okay, but it wasn't, as far as you know, it wasn't yourself, correct?
It was not myself, no.
And as far as you know, it wasn't law enforcement, agreed? Was not law enforcement, agreed?
I was the only one there, so it was not me. So, yeah.
So by deduction, that would leave us only with the medics?
Yes, sir.
All right. So I want to go back now before that and just ask some questions about your training and experience, okay?
Yes, sir.
Give us maybe the highlights. I don't want to get too personal, but just basically from high school on. After high school, did you go immediately into law enforcement? Did you go to college? Did you go into the service? Did you do something else?
Would you like my full educational background, I guess?
Sure, why not?
Okay. Outside of when I graduated high school, I got a technical diploma. I went to work for approximately a year and a half in Montana, came back, worked at several jobs, and then went back to school for law enforcement. Okay. And in which time I also joined the National Guard was deployed to Iraq, and when I came back, I also completed my bachelor's degree in management.
Okay. And so again, just trying to get some chunks here. The time from high school until you went into law enforcement, 2 years, 4 years?
When I went into law enforcement, it was more than that. It was more than that. I think approximately 8 or 9.
And then roughly, what was that profession? We don't need to go into great detail, but was it?
I was just a laborer at several places. That was it. After I got married, I decided to go back to school. I began taking pre-engineering classes, and then I took calculus and decided not to do that anymore. So
A lot of us have made that decision.
Yeah.
Then you switched gears and went into law enforcement.
Yes, sir.
And you again got a certificate to be a certified law enforcement officer.
That's correct.
And where did you begin working as a law enforcement officer first?
My first job was in the village of Elk Mound.
Okay.
And then I worked in Whitehall, and then I worked for the University of Wisconsin South.
All right. And then I can't remember the exact, but 8 years or so after becoming a law enforcement officer, you then started working here in Dunn County for the Sheriff's Department?
5 years.
Okay. And in that 5 years before you were here, is that when you were in the National Guard?
I was in the National Guard, yes. And I was deployed during that time frame.
And when you were deployed to Iraq, was it?
Iraq, yes, sir.
What was your role there?
Objection to relevance.
I think it goes to training.
Sustained. I don't know what,
Did you see any trauma when you were there?
Objection to relevance.
I'm going to sustain. I don't know where you're going with this witness on this.
Do you have any specific training through National Guard or through law enforcement in how to deal with people who have encountered traumatic, life-threatening events?
Objection to relevance and exceeds the scope of direct.
Just don't sustain.
As to the, no. So you may or may not have had training about that.
Objection to relevance.
Sustained. Let's move on, Mr. Nelson.
Okay. So you made some observations that day, right?
Correct.
And when you made those observations, first you were trying to figure out what was going on, right?
Yes.
One of the first questions you asked Ms. McCandless was if she had ingested any drugs, correct?
I'm not sure if that was the first question that I asked, but it was a question that I did ask Ms. McCandless, yes.
It was, again, I don't mean to say the first question, but it was early on in your contact with her. That was one of the first few questions you asked.
Yes, I believe so.
And one of the other questions, and she said no.
Hmm. Is
that correct?
Yes.
And you also then began asking questions about whether she'd been in a car accident or been thrown out of a car. Is that right?
Yes.
And I imagine you were trying to figure out if she'd had a head injury, right?
Amongst other things, yes, sir.
You were trying to assess why this young lady is in distress and doesn't remember things, correct?
That would be accurate, yes.
And in your toolbox, some of the things that in your experience, some of the things that you've seen before are drugs, is that right?
Yes.
Or car accidents, right?
Correct.
Or head injuries from car accidents or other reasons, right?
Some, yes, sir.
And so it's within that framework that you're trying to sort out what's going on, right?
My framework isn't set to just those. I'm still just trying to determine basic information.
But you would agree that your framework is set by your training and experience, right?
Yes.
You're not going to consider things you don't know about, just like the rest of us. If you don't know about it, you're not going to consider it. Agreed?
Well, I consider everything until I have evidence otherwise.
Sure. You couldn't consider an alternative that you had no knowledge of. Agreed?
Objection to relevance.
I'm going to overrule that, I guess.
Mr. Nelson, you're gonna have to reframe the question. I guess I'm not quite sure.
Sure.
If I don't know what I don't know, then I don't know.
I think that's what I'm getting at, yeah. So
I guess if I could explain when I get there what my mindset would be, would you like me to do that?
I'm not asking that. I'm asking about how you, like the rest of us, solve problems.
Mm-hmm.
And you solve problems based upon known solutions that you've seen or encountered in the past, right?
I guess partially, yes.
And if you don't know of a particular solution, you're not going to consider it because you have no knowledge of it. As you said, you don't know what you don't know. Agreed?
Yes.
Okay. And one of the things you didn't necessarily know was how victims of life-threatening trauma
Objection,
react to that
relevance.
trauma.
I'm going to overrule the objection. Go ahead, you can ask the question.
Could you repeat the question, sir?
And one of the things you did not know was whether people suffering from life-threatening trauma, how they react to that life-threatening trauma. Agreed?
That I don't know anything about that?
No, I'm not saying you don't know anything, but at that point you didn't know those. Maybe the court reporter can read back the question that I originally asked.
And one of the things you didn't necessarily know was how victims of life-threatening trauma react to that trauma.
Can you answer that question?
I don't think that's a yes or no. I don't think I can provide a yes or no to that specifically, sir.
Do you have training on how victims of life-threatening trauma may or may not respond?
Yes,
And some of that is within the military,
there was some, yes,
and some of that's within law enforcement?
yes.
Let me ask you the questions about the law enforcement. Where did you get that training?
Objection relevance?
Overruled. Noted, overruled.
It was more recently. It was after this incident. I did receive training. It was called critical, basically becoming a member of a critical response team or critical response training, where you learn to speak to people and gather information when they're going through a traumatic event to try to get them to calm down and gather information, whether it was trauma or a mental illness or something like that.
And that's training that you received after March 20.
Okay. What he's trying to establish here, it is coming off rather condescending and like he is attempting to put the officer down. Okay, but you guys have to remember what his well, I can't believe I just said that. Let me rephrase. It's important to keep into consideration when you're listening to this defense attorney's questions, what his defense is going to be. His defense is basically that from moment one, everybody who was handling this case, talking to Ezra, all of that, right, was looking at this case incorrectly. That this is a situation of a woman who was attacked and she fought for her life. And that's what he's trying to establish here, is that if this officer, did he consider that what he was dealing with when he was on direct and testifying to her state of mind and the way that, not her state of mind, but mainly like the way that she was acting, the way she was behaving, is he trained in recognizing and dealing with a person who's been through a traumatic event? It's just not a very, not a good, it's coming off a little, kind of like he's being a jerk, but he's really not. All right, here we go.
22nd of 2018.
It
correct?
is, yes.
So as of March 22nd, 2018, you did not have that training. Agreed?
That training, yes.
Okay. Sounds like you may have had some different training in your role within the military.
There was some, yes.
Okay. Now, I want to ask you some questions about your observations at the hospital, okay?
Okay.
You followed her you followed the ambulance that took her to the hospital, is that right?
That's correct.
And it took her to the hospital in Eau Claire, correct?
That is correct.
And then at some point you found her in like an ER room. Would that be fair to say? Is that what?
I don't know what found her was. I mean, I followed close behind the ambulance.
I
And
didn't mean to imply like you had to be searching. That was a poor choice of words. Tell me what happened when you got to the hospital.
basically, the ambulance was there. I arrived there. I may have remained in my vehicle long enough to make a phone call, and then went into the ER and made contact with Ms. McCandless.
Okay. And when you saw her there, she was, as you said, still very distraught, correct?
I would say yes.
And she was upset, correct?
Yes.
And that's when questions were, you would ask her about whether she wanted a sexual assault exam, and she said yes. Is that right?
Yes.
And then prior to her going and getting that exam, you asked her some questions that we heard you did with her. Is that right?
That's correct.
Let me just back up for 1 second. From the time that you arrived at Mr. Sippel's house, until the time that she went into the, for lack of a better term, custody of the medics, she was basically under constant supervision. Is that right? Somebody had eyeballs on her the whole time, right?
Yes.
And then you weren't there, but safe to assume that when she's in the ambulance, someone's watching her the whole time?
Yes.
And then when she gets from the ambulance to the hospital, again, she's under constant supervision, correct?
Yes.
And then when she's at the hospital, she's again under constant supervision, as far as you know, right?
As far as I know, yes, sir.
And when she wasn't, the only times that you weren't observing her was when she went to go change out of her clothes. Is that right?
Yes.
And then after you spoke with her when she went to go get the SANE exam, correct?
Yes.
But you can agree that from the time basically law enforcement arrived at Mr. Sippel's until she was undergoing the SANE exam, she was under constant supervision by either law enforcement, medics from the ambulance, or hospital personnel. Agreed?
I don't know if I call it supervision, care. Yes, I was around. Other people were around as well, yes.
For lack of a better way of explaining it.
Do you want to use supervision? That's fine.
Somebody had eyes on her.
Correct.
She wasn't left alone.
Yes.
Okay. So when she goes into a room, changes out of her clothes, she comes back, she's in a hospital gown.
Yeah, she changed in the room. There's a curtain across the doorway. There was a nurse or several nurses that were in there with her, I believe.
All right. And then they pulled back the curtain. You got the clothes, or somebody within law enforcement got the clothes. Is that right?
The nurses had the clothes at that time.
But at some point it went to you or another law enforcement officer, right?
I did not actually take physical custody of them. They were placed in bags that, as I requested that they do, and they were placed inside a closet storage area within her room, and they were locked by the hospital staff.
And you told them to put them in separate bags, right? Each article of clothing.
Yes.
Did you see that there was 6 bags?
I did not count the bags.
Okay. Does that sound about right?
It could be. Again, I didn't count them.
Okay. When you had this conversation with her at the hospital when she's in the gown, you were accompanied by Eau Claire Police Department Officer Corey Reeves. Is that right?
That's correct.
Have you had as far as you know, does Mr. Reeves have a squad cam, dash cam?
Those are questions for him, sir. I don't know.
Nobody's told you whether or not he had recorded the conversation that the 3 of you had?
If it was mentioned or if I was told, I guess I don't recall that, sir.
Nobody's played that recording for you?
No.
You've not had a chance to listen to what Officer Reeves recorded regarding that conversation at all?
If there's a recording I have not heard, no.
Okay. You're just going based upon your memory from a year and 7 months ago?
Yes, sir.
Were you in the during that conversation, Officer Reeves was asking her questions?
Yes.
And this was part of the conversation that you'd already told us about, that same one, right? I'm gonna start over. That was a poor question. Do you know if Mr. Reeves ever met with Ezra McCandless without you?
I would assume after, because I believe he had contact with her after the exam.
Okay.
I don't recall him speaking to her without me there. I don't recall that.
All right. So if it did occur, it would have been after the exam,
I believe so.
because when she went in for the exam, you went and did other duties.
When the exam took place, myself and Officer Reeves believed that the incident took place inside Eau Claire, which is outside of my jurisdiction. And based on the information that we had, we believed that it happened in Eau Claire. And since he was an Eau Claire officer, he advised that he would be taking over from here.
Sure. And so at
You're
that
right,
point, you were,
Allie.
I'm going to answer, but I was a little bit choking on Heather, whatever. Now, Heather, whatever. We've all been warned in this chat by Amelia Sparkles that we're very close to waking up her children. Now we're going to have the reputation. The ward is the waker-upper of sleeping children, okay? Do you want that reputation? Because I don't. But yes, Allie, you are correct. You are absolutely correct. That evidence goes in brown paper bags. Yes, you're correct. Well, most of the time they're brown. I suppose it doesn't really matter, but I've never seen them in another color. Maybe like one of those like yellowish color, whatever color that is, those envelopes or whatever. But for the most part, yes, that's correct. We're going to wake up that baby or those children, and we're going to be in so much trouble.
your involvement in the case ended. Would that be fair to say?
In that day, yes.
Okay. Your contact with Ms. McCandless ended.
Yes.
Were you in the room when Officer Reeves was asking Ezra about Alex?
I may have been. I don't.
Do you recall Officer Reeves asking Ezra why Alex was calling her boy?
The questions came up.
Were you in the room?
I might have been.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you recall Officer Reeves asking Ezra, does he treat you poorly when you guys are together? And Ezra's answer to that question?
Objection, hearsay.
I didn't ask for the answer. I'm asking if he was there during it.
Okay, go that far, then we get to the next question. But go ahead, you can answer that question.
My honest answer, sir, is I don't recall.
Okay.
I don't recall.
And that's all we want from you is honesty, so I appreciate that. And nobody's ever played for you the recording of what Officer Reeves said.
I don't believe I've ever had a recording of that.
Do you recall whether you were in the room when Officer Reeves followed up and asked questions about whether she was talking about sexual things?
Those are questions for Mr. Reeves. I don't remember if I was in the room or not.
Okay.
I don't like to necessarily record things that I didn't ask. So if he asks those things, we ask questions, and I believe we both ask questions about sexual activity, or if there was an attempt to.
I think, Allie, that, and I don't want to even bring this word up, but I think in that case, if I remember correctly, there were items inside of bags, and the bags were inside of a plastic bag. And I think that unless they came in unless they were, hey, Kez Chick, hey, Max 2002, unless they were already in a plastic bag, like that's how they were found in the home. Because I think the idea is to, especially with that case, because there was press and media, I think they were trying to not make it obvious that they were collecting evidence from the house. I think that's how it happened. But, I told you guys, my stuff is overwritten, but when they're collecting evidence, whether the person is alive or the person is deceased, it goes into a brown or a paper bag, unless it's already inside of a plastic bag. So then what they would do is keep everything together inside of that plastic bag and place that bag inside of a brown bag, or a paper bag, I should say. I don't know why I've never seen any other color, but
Assault her sexually.
Oh, sorry, Kez Chick.
We both
I
asked those
hope the
questions, I
puppy's
guess.
okay.
So you were in the room when he was having these conversations?
Those specific questions that you're asking me, you would have to speak to Officer Reeves.
I'm sorry, Kez Chick. I do hope your little pupper's okay. Having a sick puppy is like having a sick baby. I'm sorry.
About. I remember asking certain questions about an attempt or any kind of sexual contact that they may have had. To be blatantly honest, I don't remember specifically who asked what. I just tried to remember the overall conversation when it came to those things.
So what it sounds like is your memory is better about what you asked and how Ezra answered you, correct?
I hope so. Yes.
But you don't have a clear memory about what Officer Reeves asked and what Ezra McCandless answered in response to his questions. Is that what you're telling us?
That would be accurate, I think,
Okay.
yes.
But you were there when it happened, you just don't remember the details enough to say it under oath in court, right?
Yes.
Just topic-wise, I'm just asking about the topic.
I'm muted. So maybe the reason that they did that, Allie, is because they didn't have big enough paper bags to put them into, but however they collected them, but more than likely, most of the time they do use brown, or they do use paper. It doesn't have anything to do with whether the victim is alive or deceased. That's just a protocol for collecting evidence. And maybe they used plastic because they didn't have any paper bags that were big enough. I don't know, but.
Okay. Do you recall Officer Reeves asking her questions about her history with Alex, anything that had happened in the past with Alex other than on March 22nd?
I believe there was conversation about that, yes.
And do you recall what Ezra's responses were? You can't say what they are, but just right now, do you recall what her responses were?
I don't exactly recall what they were.
Okay. And whether those are captured on a recording by Officer Reeves is beyond your knowledge, is that right?
As far as I know, yes, sir.
And it was during this conversation that she appeared at first very tired, is that right?
Yes.
And then as questions were asked about the experience that she just went through, she got more upset.
Yes.
That's all. Thank you.
Okay, any redirect, Mr. Nodal?
Yes.
You were asked about your observations of the defendant when she was at Mr. Sippel's house. Can you explain what you meant about blood on her face?
It was more of a smear than if it was like coming from a cut, I guess. If somebody went like this or went like this, I don't recall any blood leaking or coming from any area. I just remember seeing something that appeared to be blood. Like if somebody would have had a bloody nose and gone like this, or had blood. If someone would have had a bloody nose and run it across their face, or had blood on their hands, or possibly on their lip, if they would have gone like this.
And you were asked about can you explain your mindset when you arrived at Mr. Sippel's house?
My mindset is until I have other proof that I have a victim. It's to get her care, to get her treatment, to get her, and to figure out what exactly is going on. If I have a suspect, if it was, like Mr. Nelson asked if it was an accident or something like that, my mindset is wide open. I don't have any, this is what this is. I'm just trying to gather any information that steers me in a particular direction.
And you said that she appeared disheveled. Is that right?
Yes.
And do you know how she became disheveled?
No.
And do you know how she had blood on her clothes or on her face?
That's what we were trying to figure out.
And was there a time when you were interacting with her where the defendant stopped answering your questions?
To answer that honestly is sort of, she didn't say, I'm not answering any questions or I'm not going to. She would just get to the point where she appeared to get upset where she wasn't answering, if that makes sense.
And so if you didn't see crying or tears, what did you observe?
I observed it appeared that she was what I classify as she was trying to be upset at some point.
And when you left the Mayo Hospital, did you believe that if there was an incident, it had occurred at Owen Park or somewhere in Eau Claire?
Myself and Officer Reeves believe that that's where it took place.
And that was based on the statements the defendant provided, both you and Officer Reeves?
Yes.
No further questions.
Any recross?
Briefly, this was your first time meeting Ms. McCandless?
It was.
You'd never, prior to that, seen her in a situation where she was crying, agreed?
Yeah, this is the first time I believe I've met her, yes.
So you don't know what her typical response is physically when she's upset or crying, correct?
That's an accurate statement, yes.
That's all, thank you.
Okay, Deputy Shields, you may step down. And my understanding is, okay, you're free to go, but. Can you please state?
Well, you know what's going to be on my mind for the rest of the night, Jen.
What?
Chick's puppy.
I know. I wasn't gonna. Oh yeah.
You know how I am about the
I know,
animals.
but babe, it's curable.
Okay.
Yeah, I googled it real quick because I wasn't sure what it is.
I'd never heard of it either.
So it is. I'll tell you what the Google says. It says Addison's disease, scientifically known as hypoadrenocortism, is a disease with serious consequences for dogs, although, fortunately, with proper treatment, dogs diagnosed with Addison's disease are expected to have normal lifespans.
Okay.
Very sick dogs require in-hospital treatment, including intravenous fluids, cortisol-like drugs, and drugs to neutralize the effects of potassium on the heart. Long-term treatment involves the administration of hormones in one or two forms, a daily pill or a shot administered about every 25 days. So see, he's going to, the baby's going to be just fine. It's curable, babe.
Good. And
But we're pulling for her, the puppy
let
of
me
the
know,
Lord.
and I'll donate because I love all the animals.
Is it is the puppy a girl or a boy? Because I don't want to misgender the pupster. It's very rude. While I wait for Chick to answer me, a long, long time ago, like 15 years ago or more probably shit, more like 20 now, because my oldest daughter was little. She wasn't even in school yet. And my youngest daughter wasn't even a thought. We got our very first orange
Molly.
tabby. Oh, Molly. That's funny. Wait till you hear this story. Okay, so we got our very first orange tabby from the shelter, the dog or the animal shelter. And so my husband brings it home, and my oldest daughter said, "Can we name her Molly?" Because we had been told that she was a female. So that was her name, Molly, 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 right? Super cute. Well, after a little bit, probably, 2 months or so, there was a very noticeable growth coming from the back. I'm a chicken now. The back of Molly. So my oldest daughter says to me, she says, and I noticed it too, but I wasn't going to say anything because I was kind of trying to figure out how to handle it and how to ask it, or, how to bring it up. So she says to me, she says, "Mama, look at Molly's butt." And I looked and I was like, well, Molly is an Ollie. And from then on, so for I don't know, 2 months, this poor cat had been going around misgendered. "Come on, Molly, here, kitty, kitty, pretty girl, pretty girl, pretty girl." My daughter dressed him up in dog clothes and pushed him around in the stroller and calling him Molly. And then we just changed his name to Ollie and had him neutered, and that was that. And then I learned that that for the most part there are exceptions, but orange tabbies are by and large almost exclusively male. There are very few exceptions. My sister has a long-haired orange tabby who is an actual female because she the kitten was abandoned at the veterinary clinic that she worked at, so she took her home. And I was like, so my sister and I were talking about it, and I was like, I thought, and she said, I did too, but the vet said in very few cases it happens. And it's sad because when it does happen and they happen to be females, she cannot be spayed because it's such an anomaly that it's like a genetic defect, and it's caused her to have like a heart murmur where she can't she can't be put under anesthesia to be spayed.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that about orange tabbies. I knew that about calicos were always female.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Wow. All right, so what did we think of
accessories? I love this. That's how I should have put it. There were some, yes, Molly came with some accessories.
That is good.
Okay. What do we think of what, Mo?
Of today's testimonies.
Well, go ahead.
Well,
I always tell what I think.
And I just want to hug him. And I think she's very lucky that that's the house that she went to.
I think that, to be fair, honestly,
Poor
I think,
guy.
yeah. I mean, he was just trying to have his evening meal at 4:20. Bless his little heart. Well, I thought the 4:20 is funny for many, many reasons, but the fact that he's like, I'm having my evening meal and it's not even 5:00 yet. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay.
What? I didn't even hear the time. That's important.
It was 4:20.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh. That's what he said.
So that is important.
It is important. But here's the thing.
Because the cops went to Alex's house
at 12.
12.
Mm-hmm.
So
full
4 hours.
Hour
Full?
4 hours later. That's what happened. Yeah, it's so sad.
Gosh, what all happened? I
know.
wonder when they got there. Well, no. The bus driver guy passed them going into that road around between 1:30 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
So, and she was only 8 minutes 8 minutes walking from Sipple's house,
Mm-hmm.
5 minutes running.
Yeah, but they didn't
So
even, she didn't even
2
talk
hours.
about what had happened or what the only thing I know for sure is that
Kiss.
he,
You're so innocent, bless you.
oh, I totally forgot about that. Yeah, it is. That's all right. It gives you it gives you it's one of those that gives you the warm and fuzzy. So it's actually perfect for a little Shih Tzu Maltese.
Yeah, that's so cute.
But we know that the crime scene investigator worked from 9 o'clock in the evening until 6 o'clock in the morning, and I think that was they didn't even. I don't think anybody arrived on scene where Alex was until it was dark.
Well, yeah,
And this
because they
was
couldn't find him.
March. Well, I know. That's what I'm trying to. I know.
Well,
We're trying to put the time. We're trying to no. We're trying to put the timeline together. So she shows up at Mr. Sipple's house at like 4:20. Right? He calls 911, and they get her back to the hospital, and then they're talking to her and yada yada yada. Probably let's say 5, maybe 5:15. Okay, and I would imagine that somebody was sent to where she was talking about a park with a turtle in the hospital, but she was dilly-dallying around with what had happened and where it was. So much so that the crime scene, they didn't even get called until 9, or they didn't even get there until 9, which tells me they probably were called somewhere between 8:45, somewhere in there, depending on how far away they lived.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
For some reason, I was thinking that, I guess because I've been recording so much, it seems like years. I was thinking they didn't find the car until the next day, but that makes sense. I was thinking it was nighttime because of that. That's why I got excited and screamed at you.
I'm used to it now, and I'm just, you know what? Like, I'm just used to it now.
It was like an excitement.
I know. I'm just like, okay, Mo, I know she lied. Let me finish my sentence.
Because I just felt like this happened at nighttime because of all the, testing and everything, and was done at night. But at 4:20, so it was all 2 hours.
No, Amelia, that's the thing. So they haven't really got completely and all the way into it yet, right? Because this officer that was testifying just now, he is the one who him and another officer arrived. They were dispatched by 911, and then they followed the ambulance back to the hospital, and then they interviewed her. But at the end of his testimony just now, he was talking about, like, she was very vague about what had happened and where this event happened. Something, and he did say she said something about a park and a frog.
Yeah, there's a park in, what's it called, Eau Claire, where she's from.
Eau Claire. Eau Claire.
Yeah, there's a park there that has one of your scary things, a frog.
Well, right.
I'm assuming it's a frog statue, obviously.
Right, but she was still being but that's not where that was. That's not where he was. So that's she's like misleading him. When I said he said something about a frog, that's what he said. That's what he testified to. Those are his words, not mine.
Right.
I'm repeating that. So she's sending them basically on like a wild goose chase. It was hours.
Right.
before. I don't know, and because we still don't know at this point. Maybe Mo does, but I don't because I haven't heard anything, any testimony yet about it. But I don't even know if Ezra is the one that told them where Alex was, or if somebody, or they just got lucky.
Yeah,
Backtrack from,
they looked around of where,
well,
from Sipple's house, and they
they
worked outwards.
backtracked. Yeah. So
I'm
maybe,
pretty sure that's how it happened.
yeah, which, that's, like tedious work.
Yeah,
Which
because
it's
they
interesting.
interview her in the hospital.
Mhm.
That's why I thought it was a couple days, because it's
Mm-mm.
over 2 interviews, and they think that at first that either the car was wrecked and
Right.
he was still hurt somewhere, or he's dumped her out and stole the car. They just didn't know.
Yeah. But the thing is, and listen, I'm not a doctor, okay, but, and I know you guys will remember this, most everybody has seen it. I think it was maybe a year or two ago, there was the video of the cops at the hotel room, and they knocked on the door and they bum rushed the door because a little girl had been kidnapped, and they found her inside the room. And there was video of it shown because they released the body cam footage from the officer. And he had told her to hide in like a laundry basket in the hotel room. And
I don't know that. What's that from?
I don't know I don't remember the name of the little girl or anything. I just remember the video because it was just, you feel every single emotion that a human being can feel all at the same time.
Right.
So, but what I distinctly remember from that video is that child had been through some very serious trauma, number one. And, but when the officer said, "Are you so-and-so?" And she answered, "Yes, I'm," and she repeated her name.
Mm-hmm.
And what I found to be interesting with respect to Ezra McCandless is, when she was asked, she initially did not give her, she didn't give her name as Ezra McCandless. She gave her birth name of Monica. Now I can't remember what her last name was.
Jay. Well, her name was Monica Jade, but I think it's Carlin.
Yeah, something like that. I know it started with the C. I can't remember, babe,
K-A-R.
Max, if it's from Florida or not. I can't remember that case. But I mean, I've tried real hard to block it out because it's just so, it had a happy ending, but because it was raw footage, it just,
I was going to tell you to send it to me, but don't, then I'll look it up.
Yeah, I'm not going to send it. I'm not going to send it because then I'd have to look it up, and I don't want to look it up. But anyway, I just thought it was interesting that Ezra, the name that she gave.
Yes, I meant to bring that up. I'm glad you did.
Yeah, was Monica instead of Ezra. And what's also interesting is that when we're listening to the 911 call, she remembered her age.
Mm-hmm.
And so memory is a funny thing when you've been through trauma, or when you've experienced trauma, or you have a traumatic injury. So I can't say for certain that, well, I mean, the truth of the matter is that regardless of whether she committed the murder out of cold blood, right, or it was self-defense, it's, at least those kind of events leave an imprint on people, different imprints for different types of people. Where a serial killer, it would be like a high, like a release. It would be euphoric. It would be exciting, right? But I don't think that she is serial killer level. Do I think she's got some serious issues? Sure, of course she does. However, I don't think that's, I think hers are a little different than, say, Ted Bundy.
So you think that she really couldn't remember?
I think it's difficult. It would be very difficult for anybody to say whether or not some of it was an act and some of it was real, or whether it was all real or all an act. I think the best that I can say is that I think it's a combination of both.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think that she was traumatized about what she had done. And I think that that emotion does come out. But I think as far as not remembering her name, and not see, it's the reason it's interesting is the police report that she filed was filed as Ezra McCandless, not Monica. So and I paid attention to that because when they ran her name to see if they'd ever had contact with her before, because she gave them Monica, nothing came up. But had she given them the name Ezra, it would have come up. And I think that was intentional. I do. I absolutely do.
So you sound like you think she's guilty.
Even people who are not guilty and react in self-defense can act extra and lie. Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I don't know yet. I think that the fact that they believe, I'm keeping my, I'm open to possibilities, because I really am curious about what the defense is going to. I'm starting to see with the cross-examination of some of these, like officers, not so much with the witnesses, although for whatever reason he didn't like the roommate. But I can see the beginnings of their defense taking shape.
Yeah. And another thing that I noticed from what you were saying about them not offering clothes, they also took her glasses, and supposedly she can't see without her glasses.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, luckily she has a family that could afford to replace them, but it's just so sad to think about.
They have to take everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Everything that, a lot. I don't think people, I think that people are under the impression, I won't even say people, it's me. I'm people. I was under the impression that once a victim is at the hospital and they get treatment, right, then everything is taken care of. I never considered that not only there's a part of me that knew, obviously, that everything that was on their person is now evidence and that they collect that. That I always knew that, but what I didn't connect is, well, what do they go home in? And I can't even remember what it was where I learned that hospitals take donations.
Yeah, because that's just something you wouldn't really think about.
It's not. Why, it's not. You would think they're at the hospital. There's, they get advocates, real advocates. So you think that kind of stuff is taken care of or handled, and if they get donations and they have them on hand, then yes, and then it is. But everything becomes evidence.
Yeah, think about a homeless person.
That's what I was saying.
That's the only glasses they have is, that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so sad.
It is sad. It is sad. It is sad. So,
yes, donate. It doesn't cost money to give your old clothes away or old blankets to the animal shelter. I have a whole bunch I got to take.
And donate, donate your, clothes to the hospitals, battered women's shelters, because there are a lot of women and children when they leave a domestic violence situation, they leave with whatever they have on their back, and they don't have anything else because they're trying to get out and get out quick. And so just little things like that,
When my
exactly, Amelia. All kinds of stuff you can do. You know what I mean?
That makes me think, because when my ex-husband had LASIK eye surgery, they had a big bowl for everybody to donate their old glasses. I hope they did something like that with them.
Usually what they do is they take the frames, they remove the lenses and they keep the frames, and then they for people who can't afford, glasses, that's what they use.
Good.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see how this goes. So, we'll be here tomorrow night at 8:30 again, and we'll be going over. Hold on, let me see who's next. Joe, I see his name
It's
up
a
here.
bunch of officers.
Joseph.
There's Molson Man.
There he is. Bunch
Oh
of
my
law enforcement
gosh.
officers.
Did Allie 79, you finally get on her boat? She's been circling the island waiting for you.
I've been asking about you because I haven't seen you in a few days, Molson Man, and I was like, has anybody seen Molson Man? Because I totally did. Hey, all you cool cats and kittens, it's your friend Carol Baskin. No, I didn't kill Don Lewis. He's in Costa Rica living his best life.
Yeah. Molson, you were a big topic at the beginning of this live. You'll have to watch back.
Yeah, because I wanted to know where you were, because usually it's you always say, hey, all you cool cats or whatever, and it always makes me think of Carol Baskin. Hey, all you cool cats and kittens, it's your old pal Carol Baskin. Yeah, Mo said you went on a trip with your wife. That's where she thought you were.
I just made up a whole story. I could have sworn he said in chat one night that him and his wife were going somewhere on vacation.
Well, they might have been, and it's Sunday and he's back. So you could be right. So,
Molson.
Yeah, we missed you. But I'm gonna end this because I'm tired. It's been a long day for your pal Jen. Hey, guess what though, Molson Man? I got my KFC and my chair came in. I'm super excited. I have the El Jefe of chairs. I'm very excited. I feel extra fancy. It's super comfortable. It's way better than the chair I was in because I was kind of hunched over, and after I would end the live, you guys, I'm not even playing. I would my back right in the middle would just have the worst spasms, and yeah. So I was
sorry.
What?
I want to watch that. And you're welcome, Kez Chick. I'm glad she put my mind at ease too, because I would have worried about that poor pup for days.
I Googled immediately as soon as you said what the vet thought that she had. I Googled it because I wanted to know what it was. And if it would have been bad news, I probably wouldn't have said anything. But because I knew, it was okay, I wanted to be able to reassure you.
Yeah,
Molson Man, email me the channel and I'll go watch.
I want to.
Or you can, you know what? I'm not even going to be. That's so uppity. Put the name. What channel is it? And I'll go check it out. I'll go check it out.
10 p.m. to 7 a.m. Wow. I see why you slept all day.
Oh my goodness.
I didn't even see that part.
I can't, even if I.
Yes.
Oh yeah, babe.
Put it here.
Here. Even if I were. I don't even think I could talk about the West Memphis. I mean, I could. I'm capable of doing it, but I get annoyed with myself at about the 2-hour mark. By the 2.5 hour mark, I'm extremely irritated with myself. And then by 3 hours, I'm like, okay, I need to stop.
Well,
Unless
no, I think if you were on a panel with other people talking, time just gets away from you. I think you could do it if you were talking to other people about it.
I'm talking to you, you're other people.
Well, I know,
It's
but
my voice that I get annoyed with because, you know, I don't know. I get annoyed with my own voice after a while, and then I don't want to hear it anymore. That's what it doesn't. You can put 15 people on a panel. It's still my voice, and I'm still going to be annoyed with me. You know what I mean?
yeah, true.
That's what it is. I don't like my voice, Allie, and I feel like after a certain amount of time that I'm not as interesting anymore, and I don't make as much sense after a while. So I
That's not
feel
true.
annoyed with myself because I hear myself saying or like starting a sentence over, and I get annoyed is probably not the right word. Frustrated is probably a better word for it because as time goes on, I feel like I'm not as fresh. I don't know. It's probably just in my brain, honestly.
It is.
Allie, thank you, Heather. Whatever. Thank you, Allie. Rubbish.
Mosin, name that channel before she ends it.
I'm calm down. I'm not gonna just end the. I'm waiting for him. So demanding. You know that the StreamYard is 20 seconds behind. Is 20 seconds ahead of. There's a delay, so you hear it and see it, and there's a delay between when they hear it.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm.
I did not know that.
Yeah, there's a delay. There's a delay.
Four.
Yeah.
Well, obviously it didn't throw me because I didn't even know about it, Heather. Whatever.
Well, okay. So when I come live, I have the stream on StreamYard, but I also have my phone. Okay.
Thank you, Mosin.
No, I'm not ending the channel, maniac. I'm just ending the live. But thank you. Oh, everybody's on edge today. It's the war, y'all. Calm down. Now I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, so anyway, I have YouTube open on my phone because I don't really like the chat in StreamYard. First of all, I just don't like it. So I chat using my phone, and like when I go live from StreamYard, there's a delay between when it shows up on StreamYard. It's first on StreamYard, and then there's a delay when it shows up on the YouTube. So
there is on mine too.
That's how I know. No, it's real. That's why when I'm not quitting Wilson, man. That's how, like, when creators will ask a question and then they'll ask it again, I don't think they realize there's a delay, and they just got to give people a minute. Like Wilson, are you gonna put it in the chat?
I didn't even know you could answer on StreamYard. I have it up I have the chat. I have the YouTube on another tab.
Well, okay. So I can answer in chat because I'm the one that's hosting the stream. You cannot, unless you are like, yeah, you have to, it has to be your stream. And then you can, then you can answer. That's why a lot of times when people are on StreamYard as a guest, they're like, you can see chat, and they're like, but how do I answer? Well,
right.
You can't. So, and that's the disadvantage to StreamYard. I hope you're listening to me. I don't know who is in charge. I think Gage Gage, if you listening, let me give you some tips. What'd be nice is if people who are guests could also chat, number one. And number two, you could toggle between StreamYard and a different app if you're on your phone, instead of not being able to. And then you know, say somebody hits you up in private messenger and you're a guest. If you click that message, you leave the stream. So Gage, y'all need to work on that. No, it's not. I mean, kind of like Zoom, I guess.
Yeah, I don't click any. Well, I click over to the YouTube but I don't click anything else.
What do you mean you click to the YouTube? You don't click YouTube. You click the StreamYard link I give you.
No, when I'm watching you and I want to chat, I just click.
Oh,
the
you
tab
open
to
another
YouTube.
tab. Yeah. No, it's not like Zoom. I don't like Zoom. I think it's, I don't know.
I don't think I've ever been on Zoom.
I'm not a fan. Mainly because, like, honestly, most of the things that I've seen on Zoom, court.
Yeah.
I equate Zoom with court now, so I don't really. I just don't. Here's the thing. This is what I like about StreamYard. StreamYard, you can pay for it, but you can also have it for free for a little while. Do you know what I'm saying? Zoom, you know what I'm saying? It's not free, and you know, I'm not a fan of it. Maybe I would be a fan if I tried it out, but I'm used to StreamYard, and you guys know we've discussed this repeatedly. I don't do well with change. I'm not a fan. I get set in my ways. I don't like change just for change's sake. However, I'm considering some other streaming services because sometimes I be getting frustrated with StreamYard. But then I think about it and I'm like, yeah, but then there's going to be like, you know, hitches in the get along because learning, you know, you have to work out the kinks and stuff like that. So I'll probably stick with StreamYard until I get annoyed enough, and then I'll do something else. Or maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just stick with StreamYard. Who knows? It'll be a surprise for all of us.
Yeah. Yes, Molson. Allie got on her speedboat and was driving around the island, afraid you were stuck on there.
Yeah, she was. We were all. I'm not gonna lie. I was concerned that we were gonna have to send out a rescue mission, an extraction from Watts Island. But if you were somewhere else, but not on Watts Island, another island, any island is better than Watts Island. I'll only send an extraction team if it's Watts Island. But yeah. So anyway,
I done forgot what page he said. I gotta look it up.
Oh, hold on. It's
A Curious Rose.
A Curious Rose. Here, let me.
Right.
I'll highlight it
down
for everybody. We'll go check you out on A Curious Rose. Oh, you weren't playing when you said you were going to write it down. You turned like 37 pages.
I forgot to mute.
I don't, man. There every once in a while I might for like a 50 seconds or more, maybe 51 seconds. And then I remember why I left the island and I dip. I can't do it anymore. I just can't do it.
Yeah, that's how I'm about drama channels. I'll look for like 5 minutes and then I'm like, ugh, all right, that's enough.
So, all right, you guys. Well, I'm going to go ahead and end this for tonight. I want to thank everybody for being here. It's always, I love our chat. We have the best chat, I think, on YouTube, and I'll literally fight anybody in the streets who wants to argue, because I really do. I think we have the best chat ever on YouTube. Agree. But and that's because of you guys, and I appreciate that. So I will see all of you lovely people tomorrow. at 8:30 Eastern. Yes, Ellie, we have true crime and snacks and C words. And I'll see you guys tomorrow at 8:30. Y'all take care and have a good Monday.
Bye.
Bye.